Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, K7CYM. Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. Transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll see the frequencies that we actually transmit and receive on, a little background on the club, and also you'll find a link to YouTube where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5 for our voice transmissions during our nets. I'll pause briefly in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Hearing none again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Signed in via video link already. On the net is Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, and myself, Dave, KD7CYM. Is there anybody else who would like to check into the net? Hearing none, well, again, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Let's start off the net with Bob, K9PQ in Bottle.
Well, good evening. Well, it's a beautiful day today. Opened up the doors and windows and kind of aired the place out for the first time in a while, and it was really great. It felt like spring. Let's see what else is going on. Boy, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot today. I think I'll see what everyone else is up to. I'll send it on back. K9PQ.
PQ, thanks for that. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX in Kent.
Well, I actually have something to show. I guess Ron's on the road, so I guess that's where he's at. Let's see here if I can get this squared away here. Okay. Right there. Right. And then, okay, yeah, that looks good. See if that works. Okay, well, I guess it was Saturday. I was talking about the volcano and how the lava cone was kind of building its way up. Well, as you can see, the very next day, that's the end of the lava cone. And so we have this beautiful waterfall effect, or spillover, I guess. I guess the walls of the cone the weight of the lava inside causes the walls to fail. And when that happens, of course, here you can see the net result of the lava just pouring out. And it is pretty cool if you ask me. And I don't think anybody got hurt by this or didn't cause anything excessive, but it just shows you that we're getting a beautiful look at how mountains form, actually, I mean, goodness gracious. So Iceland's getting a whole brand new landscape and probably a national park by the time this is all said and done. So anyway, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to show you guys this. I haven't seen this out on the national news very much at all, and so I just had to get this out here because it's just, when I saw it, when I woke up Sunday morning and I saw this, I went, holy moly, I thought the worst when I saw this, but no, evidently not. So, and at this point right now, it is not spilling over right now. It's starting to build itself back up again, so, but it's still erupting. I don't know. I don't think they know either, so with that, K7ITX, back to net control.
ITX, thanks for showing us those pictures. My oh my, it's hard to believe Mother Nature can have that much energy down inside. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, I can't quite make out what that picture is that I see on 1.2. It looks like it's either trees or flowers or something. I don't have color right now, so I can't tell if it's all green or if it's some kind of flowers. But anyway, thanks for the picture there, Bob. Yeah, Bob, nice day here as well. I spent most of the day doing chores around the house, unfortunately. My wife did have an opportunity to go for a short walk today to visit a neighbor just down the road a bit. Let's see, one thing we did, I'm not sure which station it was, so don't quote me, but I think it may have been on CNN. They were doing this special on the space shuttle that kind of burned up upon re-entry. They had 2 episodes on, don't quote me, I want to say it was Sunday night, and there are going to be 2 more a week from whenever that was. Maybe it's this coming Sunday. But so we watched 1 episode whenever they had it. I think it was Sunday night, and then we watched the other 1 hour today during the day, and they'll have 2 more 1 hour episodes probably Sunday. That's interesting. Some talk about engineering failures. Interesting. If anyone has an opportunity to catch it, I think you'll enjoy it. Kind of brings to light some of what's been going on in the aviation industry nowadays too, or at least it made me think of that. And let's see, I had to replace some batteries in a outside thermometer that I've got. I need to go up, stand up on 6 feet up in order to reach it. So it must be probably 11 or 12 feet off the ground. It was nice for me to do that while it's not raining or anything outside. So it was a beautiful day. I'm sorry I missed most of it, but that's okay. Summer is yet to get to us. Dick, thanks for the pictures of that volcano. Yeah, that lava cone with that lava just gushing out, that is impressive. Glad we don't have to deal with that in our neck of the woods here. It's really cool, but it's also maybe more than a little bit frightening. I wonder if things have returned to normal well, obviously looking at that picture, I would say no, things have not yet returned to normal up there. I wonder how long it's going to be going. I don't know, there was some talk about an additional magma chamber below ground that could spew out some more. Maybe that's what they were talking about, or maybe there's still even more to come. But keep us apprised on that, Dick. I appreciate it. Back to you, Dave. And Dave, glad to see you back. Glad you're feeling better. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, let's see, James, WU7N.
Good evening, everyone. James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue. Well, I had an interesting piece of video I was going to show of a satellite view of the solar eclipse as a time lapse, but it seems to be having problems loading on this computer, so maybe I'll have it squared away the next time around. Bob, yes, I too, there's just something about the spring air, I think, that causes you to notice every weird smell in your house. I opened up all my doors and windows for a while and aired the place out, but it was a beautiful spring day. I made up some errands just so I could drive around out in it and enjoy some of that weather. And Richard, thank you very much for the lava picture. That is interesting compared to the last one you showed us. That was building the cone up, and now it's all pouring out one side. There's probably some kind of life lesson there, but I just can't quite tag what it is. But so anyway, well, that's it for me for this time around. I'm going to see if I can get this to work on a computer that I can show you, because it's very interesting, I think you'll like it. This is James, WU7N. Let me turn it back to Dave in Seattle, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society tonight.
WU7N, and this is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. I got 54 degrees, it's overcast. I don't know what happened to the clear sky, but it's certainly clouds have rolled in tonight. And for me today, I'm doing a lot of domestic chores around the house. And my driver's license finally arrived in the mail. I was excited about that. This year, it's only 8 years that it goes for. I think the last license I got was good for 10 years. Shrinkonomics, I guess, so they can sell you something else down the line. And then pollen. Oh my gosh, my neighborhood, the trees are just mating, you might say. And boy, the yellow fuzz is everywhere, including my nose that seems to be sticking up and causing me to want to sneeze a lot. So that's about what I've got to say from here at Lake City. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. So let's go back up to Bob, K9PQ.
Hey, well, let's see, the picture, Jim, is from my trip to Ireland, and it is a bush that looks a lot like what I would call Scotch broom around here. It was different. I guess we could call it Irish broom, but but though it is green with yellow flowers all over the bush, and so it adds a splash of color, but only if you're actually receiving color. Wow, those are impressive pictures, Richard. Really impressive. I'm kind of in awe of that lava spillover happening. You just think of the think of the forces involved there and the temperatures involved, and it's good that it was not happening anywhere near where people could get in the way of it. But so that I'm curious where that is in relation to either populated areas or areas that were populated that maybe are now covered by lava. Is that sort of building mountain close to any of those places, or is it kind of away? And whatever happened with what was it they were building? Weren't they building a bridge or rebuilding a bridge or something like that, or a roadway? There was something that got ruined, and this was a couple of months ago, I think, when you were showing us before. There was this huge construction project. Maybe it was to build a dike, but I thought it was to build some kind of a roadway that had been ruined, and they were rebuilding it or building on top of it or something like that. I'm curious if you have an update on that. Yeah, James. Yeah, excuses to go outside. For me, it was just to get out on the deck. I hadn't been out on my deck in far too long, so it's reminded me my deck needs cleaning, so that's my next job. What else have we got here? I guess that's it for now. Interested. Oh, and yeah, also, Jim, that special on the space shuttle that burned on reentry. I'll look for that. I was thinking Challenger, but that was the first one. I don't know what the name of that one was. Yeah, I'll look for that because I'm kind of interested in that. That one was kind of surprising, and it felt like it should not have happened. So, and it sounds like from your comments that maybe that was the case. Okay, I will send it back. This is Bob, K9PQ.
Q, and time to get an ID here. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX in Kent.
Yeah, hi. Bob, I think that was the Columbia disaster. And both Columbia and Challenger disasters, for me, it was kind of like the Kennedy assassination. I can literally remember exactly where I was at and what I was doing when I found out. Kennedy assassination, I think I was a fifth grader in grade school, right at lunch break. And then the Challenger disaster happened while I was on my first job, like my second week in Ballard at Fenpro Industries. And fortunately for me, all the bosses that I worked for were out of town when that happened. So as I was able to just kind of quit what I was doing and stayed in my office and just listen to the radio the whole time. And I mean, it was just, it was that shocking. And then Columbia, I wasn't even out of bed, and I think I was getting up. The daughter was going to play soccer, and then my wife said, "Hey, something happened to the space shuttle on its landing." So then I got caught up in that for the rest of the afternoon and evening. Great to have you back. So you look good and you sound good. So it sounds like you're getting back to normal. And let's see. So yeah, I didn't do too much myself. A lot of reviewing, a lot of my paperwork and health information, as you can well imagine. There was one thing that happened to me in August that I really, really did not like, and that was what was called a pH test, where they literally drop a probe just above your stomach stomach. It's a wire that goes down your throat and hooks up to kind of like a little iPhone that clips to your wallet or your belt, I mean, and you wear this wire with this probe for 24 hours. And anytime you eat, you put a little code in this thing that's at the other end of I mean, it's just miserable. Can you imagine having a wire and you're supposed to eat and drink and go to sleep just like a normal person for 24 hours? And the one thing I remember, the relief of getting it out, and then, sadly, it felt like it screwed up my throat, like it scratched it or bruised it or hurt it in some fashion to where I could really kind of feel the after effects for a couple months. I mean, it was, normally, when you swallow, but every once in a while you kind of do the reverse thing of swallowing, like if you have to clear your throat. That was very painful for a couple months. So when I saw the pH test and the protocol coming up for me in a month, I go, oh no. And so I couldn't wait for this Monday, this week, to call my coordinator. And I said, are you sure I need to have this again? I just had it in August. And do I need to call blah, 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 registered nurse? She says, oh no, I'll check into it right away, and I'll send you an email back after I find out. And it couldn't have been barely 5 minutes, and the email came back, oh no, you're in the clear. Anytime when there's a test like this that's been done within the year, no, you don't have to take it. So, oh God. I mean, they can do anything else they want to me, but that is one. It's kind of like a nerve study where they shock your nerves. That's another one that, you might as well sit in the electric chair. I mean, literally. So nerve studies and pH tests. No, thank you. So anyway, what else do I got on here? Oh, God, no, it's one of these deals where I can't read my own writing again. Oh, yeah, Bob, when you saw that construction project that I remember that you saw where they're building that pretty intense road, that was mainly to install a temporary hot water pipe from the Blue Lagoon to all the cities who use it for heat. So they got that fixed right away, and they might just still have that for backup because I think what they have now is underground, so that and it's engineered so that it can be underground and not get disturbed if the lava goes over the top. So anyway, that's all I know for now. So good to hear and see everybody. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks with that. Well, let's pick up Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Dave, you were talking about shrinkonomics. Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I just happened to do some shopping between our last net and now, and I got this package of toilet paper. And we get the what they call the mega rolls, but we had one package left here, which we obtained before the pandemic, and it was mega rolls. But I'll tell you what, the old ones really were mega rolls. The bigger rolls of toilet paper are a whole lot smaller. I was really surprised at how much smaller they are. But, yep, it's a real thing. Let's see. Bob, I think the thing on the shuttle is that, at least with this one, yeah, it was the Columbia. They had earlier warnings that something like this might happen. Now, I have not seen the end of the show yet, so we'll see what happens with all of this. But apparently, every now and then, a piece of foam will separate from. I don't remember either one of the solid rocket boosters or probably the fuel tank, and it would break off. And they've had several warnings where they witnessed the piece of foam fly by the shuttle, and they never really looked at the potential impact which would occur if the piece of foam struck the shuttle itself. And some people were saying, well, you would think they would have checked that before doing this, but apparently the one piece of foam did impact the shuttle at several hundred miles per hour, and even though it was a very light thing, it appeared to cause catastrophic damage. So some people are saying, well, they ignored the earlier warnings. They witnessed that and just kind of chose to ignore it. But like I said, we haven't seen the rest of the story yet. Oh, and I just had a splash of color on the amateur television repeater downlink here. Yeah, I could see that's yellow. Thanks, Bob. Well, Dick, I will bet that test messed up your throat. Wow. I certainly would not be looking forward to that again either. I don't know what to say about that. I think if it were me, I'd ask the doctor, do you really want to repeat that test? And see what he says about that. And I'd mention that you think you're still screwed up from the last time they did that to you. I know. Good luck with that, and we hope that maybe he'll decide, well, we don't really need to do that, so I'll keep my fingers crossed on that for you. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, let's go to James, WU7N.
Well, thank you, Dave. WU7N here. Well, pollen, yes. I, too, am got yellow pollen, and I noticed one of my vehicles, the pollen gets on the vehicle, then it rains on it, and it seems to sort of like glue to the surface. And, it's a real challenge to try and get it off without scratching the paint. It's a 1997 Camry, and so it's only a few more years, and it will be a collector car, according to the state of Washington. But I like it, but wow, I've got to find some covered place to put it in for the spring, or because it gets pollinated. Nothing ever sprouts, but it certainly gets pollinated. And Richard, you are frozen on my digital side, and but I'm moving on 1.2 gigahertz, an absolutely superb picture tonight, coming off the mountain. Solid 5, solid color, absolutely no roll. Okay, now I see your hand moving around your face, but then it froze again. So I'm trying to figure out if that's me or something else that's causing a frozen picture. Actually, I guess Bob and Dave are now frozen too. Well, hey, let's really try and push it here. I've got something that is kind of interesting, at least I thought it was interesting, and let's see if this share will work. Looking this 1.2. going slow through on the digital side, being transmitted off 1.2 gigahertz. At least what I'm seeing. It just shows a black, there it goes. Okay, there's a black screen with city names on it. What that is, that's a satellite time-lapse view of what the eclipse looks like. And so, I don't know, it's coming through on the digital side a little better, but wow, that's not really so great on the 1.2 gigahertz. I don't know what's slowing it down so much, whether that's a problem at my end or up on the mountain or what. But isn't that neat? You can actually see the moon casting a more definitive shadow down over the corner of Baja and Dallas, and then as it moves up to the northeastern corner of the U.S., the shadow spreads out. Don't know if you can make that out or not, but I thought that was really an interesting picture because it really shows where the moon was casting its shadow. So I thought that was kind of neat. I'm still waiting for the 1.2 gigahertz analog side to catch up, and I guess it sort of is, but not really. Not so great there on that side. Well, I hope it came through on the digital side a little bit better. My shrinkflation story, my most recent one, I was whining to Bob earlier about, is that I was down to my last tube of toothpaste, and so I went to Costco and noticed, oh, they have a 5-pack of this very similar toothpaste on sale. Oh, what a good deal. I get it home and look at the old toothpaste tube versus the new toothpaste tube, and they're 2.5 ounces less per tube in the new one as opposed to the old one, which is just an annoying amount. But I guess it matters if you're making 10,000 tubes of toothpaste or 10 million tubes of toothpaste. 2.5 ounces, they're shorting us and then telling us it's a great deal on sale. I find that annoying. I would rather they just sell the old size toothpaste tube and just charge me more money so we all sort of have a better idea what's going on. And a pH test, well, it seems to me, Richard, what you need to do is ask for a wireless version of the pH test. Obviously, you know, if they've got a wired version, they must have a Bluetooth wireless version. Of course, that creates its own problem. Maybe they can't train the little wireless capsule to sit right where it's supposed to sit, because things sit only in your stomach only for about 30 minutes. So I've read. So maybe that's the reason they have to have it on the wire, which would explain why your throat is getting sore, because it's like the fish keeps fighting, right? I mean, on the back of your throat is what I'm imagining happening here. It keeps trying to pull it on through, and the wire keeps it from going. Just a thought. Maybe ask for a wireless edition. And the other thing, when it comes to software, I noticed after several fails, for some odd reason I was missing text and phone calls. Well, my phone has a thing where I can set Do Not Disturb at night so it won't ring me, because I had a telemarketer hitting me about 5 a.m. in the morning. And so I said, okay, we've got to learn how to use that feature. But I found when I set the feature, it would do exactly what it's supposed to do. It would not disturb me. And then when I would say, okay, time to disturb me again, I'm awake. So I figured this out after several misses, that if I turn the phone completely off and on again, then it will make noise again. But then I think Apple must know there's a problem, because I noticed on my phone tonight it says, software update tonight. Gee, I wonder what bug they're fixing. Anyway, I can only imagine how many divorces and firings and layoffs that has caused in the last month or two, if that's always been there. Well, with that jolly thought, this is James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue. Let's turn it back to Dave, our net control.
WW7N, thanks for that information. And this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine, and I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Well, let's see, Shrinkonomics. I just, this last week, had to send my dues in to ARRL, and what they've shrunk the magazine out of the membership now, raised the price a little bit for the membership, and then took the magazine off, but you can subscribe to it separately if you wish. I thought that was kind of interesting. And the Challenger, I remember that. I was assigned to go take pictures of people watching television. It got sent to the Bon Marché for their television display area and had pictures of people gathered around the TV watching that problem happen. So that I always had fond memories of that. I don't think I'd say it was fond, but it was memories of that disaster. So anyway, it's kind of brought back memories to me when we were discussing that. This is Dave, KD7CYM. So let's go back up to Bob, K9PQ.
Well, thanks, Dave. Let's see. Well, the first note I have is from Richard, saying you got an email from your medical. With me, I use my chart, which is a secure communication. They won't email me, so that's interesting. I guess because it was just about scheduling and not about actual medical stuff. But I don't think I get emailed about anything, even appointments, or it all goes through this my chart for me, which is their way of keeping everything secure. And that pH test sounds awful. I didn't even know that was something they do. I guess I've got that to look forward to in my future. Yeah, I had forgotten about the piece of foam striking the shuttle, causing that problem. I'd forgotten that detail, and yeah, it's very sad. As for the pollen, I haven't noticed it here, but when I was down in Vancouver, Washington a couple of weeks ago, the pollen was hitting there at that time, and I literally saw it coming off in waves off the trees in my sister's backyard. And it was just amazing. It was just amazing. It was just like, there was so much of it. The wind happened to blow, and it just huge plumes of it came off. So yeah, I never was bothered by that, but I am these days. So I'm taking something. It's a generic version of Zyrtec that Costco has called Allertec, and it works pretty well for me. So might want to give that a try. That shadow of the eclipse is really cool, James. There was, I don't know what your situation is now, but at the time it was telling us that your internet connection was not good, and that's why it was kind of freezing up. But we could see enough of it, and I just think that's really cool because I've never even thought about seeing that from space. So I really like that. I had one more thing here. Oh, just Dave. Yeah, I just wanted to add my also feelings of being happy to see you back again and feeling better, and it's just great to have you back with us. I think that's all I've got. Okay, I'll send it back. K9PQ.
Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Yeah, so it was the foam on Columbia, and it was O-rings on Challenger. And I remember there was an engineer somewhere that, had, put up all kinds of bells and whistles regarding the Challenger, and the O-rings never ever launch if there's been a freeze that morning, because he knew that the O-rings would not be supple enough to hold back the hot gases that caused the explosion. So I suspect when Covington Jim watches the rest of that episode that there was probably some engineer lurking around somewhere who figured out that, yeah, it's just a piece of foam, but at that speed, and it just happens to hit the leading edge of the plane, or the leading edge of the wing of the Challenger, that it's going to take a lot of heat. There was probably somebody there who knew that this was going to happen, and I hope that doesn't have anything to do with this Boeing engineer who took his own life. The whistleblower, I don't know. I mean, doing engineering myself, I know how I've seen things go haywire, where there's always a quicker way to do it, and there's always someone, it's usually your boss, who says, "Oh, we didn't need this anyway." Well, sad to say, you really did. I was involved in a project where the structural framing of the window system was, like 33 foot high, and it needed steel inside the hollow aluminum. Oh no, this stuff is really rigid. Well, it was rigid until you put all the glass and loaded it down, and then it was just like a wet noodle. And so he paid the price. He had to have his men dismantle the whole thing. Never forget, so I'm the project manager. I'm out in the field. I'm just a dumb person that doesn't have anything to do with ordering people around, except I'm really good at making excuses. And so I remember going to the contractor's job site trailer, and he was asking me about it. It seemed like the wall system is moving quite a bit. I said, "Oh no, don't worry about that. We have a solution. We're going to add steel to the window system." And he said, "Oh, okay, great. I'm pretty sure and then he says, "Oh yeah, no, that should solve the problem." But then, when I came back 2 or 3 weeks later, after we'd done all this, he said, "When you told me you were going to add steel, I had no idea you were going to take the whole system down from our building and take it all apart, and then put the steel inside." And I go, "Oh yeah, no, we had to do that." So, I don't know. I think, what was it that I was convinced that part of my problem, part of the reason why I got so sick recently is because, what is it, what do they call it, your autonomic nervous system, fight or flight is not, that's stressful, and it's not good for your body, causes inflammation. For me, I was in that sort of mode, fight or flight. I've pretty much been in that mode 24/7 my whole life, and I think that's why I did pretty good as a BSing project manager who could get away with murder, because you're just so good at embellishing reality that maybe it was a little hard to sleep at night, but you never really were lying. You just had a way of, and then you always had a big smile, and you're so likable that, so what the heck. Oh yeah, last but not least, I thought that was Scotch broom when I first saw it. I grew up with just fields and fields of Scotch broom, and it would give me the worst hoarse-tided, as a kid, I had a frog in my throat for about the whole month of April and May. So no, they really did. I thought, but then I know the flowers looked awfully big for Scotch broom, but it sure reminded me of that. So I think but it was Irish broom. Okay. Thank you, Bob. K7ITX, back to net control.
ITX, and for an ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, I have parked my vehicle in different places around here and come out and found my vehicle had a yellow tint on it, and a couple of times that pollen adhered rather securely to the paint. I don't know what conditions makes it do that, but if you're parking it outside regularly, I think you're going to have problems. Sorry about that. Thank you for the pictures of that eclipse shadow. I was able to see that on the 1.2 gigahertz. I didn't have any color, but I could clearly see the shadow moving southwest to northeast on the screen. So that was pretty cool. They should have shown that on the television somewhere. My wife and I did watch a couple of different shows about the eclipse. Didn't notice that. Oh, and Jim, you were mentioning something about 10 ounces of product in a 12-ounce soft drink can. I could believe that. I'm just curious if you remember which beverage that was. That gives me an idea. If you can remember which that was. Bob, my chart. I usually get an email saying that I have a message on my chart. I don't know if that's something for which I signed up, or I don't know how that happened, but I thought that was kind of neat. The only thing is I don't check my email regularly, so it doesn't always work all that effectively. Dick, yeah, the O-rings. I remember where I was. I was working as an electrical engineer at the time of the Challenger, and I was troubleshooting a hardware problem on a mainframe computer, and my secretary came up to me and said, "Hey, the shuttle, it blew up." And it's like, whoa. So, and we talked about that and everything. Yeah, it's interesting how you could come out with a set of specifications and you can say, well, that's outside the design limits. That's doesn't meet the specs, but you can be overruled by some financial guy or whatever. Some MBA overrules you, and it happens everywhere, unfortunately. It's your industry, my industry, the space industry. Just have to watch out. Scream as loud as you can, and if no one listens, well, you did the best you could, I guess. Interesting. Back to you, Dave, in 7QO.
Let's go to James, WW7N in Bellevue.
Well, Jim, nitro cold beer and something called cola. But when I try to go to Reddit to get a better feed, maybe not shrinking, but definitely dishonest, Starbucks uses 12-ounce can for the 9.6-ounce drink. So I'm not sure, when I try to go to the Reddit, for some reason it chokes, probably on my virtual private network. So Starbucks is using a 12-ounce can for their 9.6-ounce drink, and then something called nitro cold beer, and then, I'm sorry, I can't get the brand here, it just says cola, C-O-L-A, is what that was. Monster is, I don't drink those kinds of drinks, but it's a caffeinated energy-type drink, and apparently it also shrunk down considerably. The cans are as tall, but they're not as big around, and so they actually are a physically smaller size can. Now, as I understand it, the problem with the 12-ounce cans is the standard. There's some things throughout the world that are just standard. Standardized. because you got to put them in machines on the outside of the container, 10 ounces, but it would still be a 12-ounce can. It's just going to have a little more air in the top or carbon dioxide in the top. And let's see, the other thing I was going to mention to you, Richard, is I think, there's some kind of report floating around the internet, the guy that committed suicide in North Carolina, sadly. They did rule that the single shot to his head was suicide and the cause of death. It was the other 5 rounds to his chest they found suspicious, but I don't know if there was anything definitive about that. Statistically speaking, he's an outlier. People don't commit suicide in cars outside their home, generally. So that's very suspicious death there. So anyway, well, with that thought, I'm going to turn it back to our net control, Dave. This is WW7N.
And here again, another ID. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, I gotta admit, I feel a lot better this day than I did last Saturday. I had gone to a food truck and got a taco. Actually, 2 tacos, pork tacos. They were very delicious. About 3 hours later, I had the green apple quick step. I'm not saying that the tacos were contaminated or not, but I don't know. Something certainly went through my system rapidly, so to speak, and then kept rapidizing, you might say, for an hour. So anyway, certainly cleaned out the system. And oh my, I'm going to send it back up to the top to Bob, K9PQ.
Well, thanks, Dave. Well, I've kind of run out of stuff to say, but I think it was Richard maybe that mentioned the email when he gets a my chart, or Jim, I forget who said that, but yes, I get that too. I'd forgotten about that. So, yeah, it's not so much that I don't get email, but I get an email just telling me to look at my chart, and that's how they keep everything secure. So, I think that's about all I've got, and I'm kind of talked out, so I think I'm just going to say 73 and send it back, K9PQ.
Well, we can go to Richard, K7ITX.
Yeah, no, typically I almost always get I deal in messages with my chart with nurses and doctors. With this particular person, being kind of not a doctor, not a nurse, just a kind of a coordinator, a scheduler. That's all we were talking about is scheduling. So that's all that was about. But yeah, normally it would be my chart. And, so I don't know. Let's see. Well, yeah, I'm kind of talked out of it too. The only other last comment is, yeah, it would have been nice if this pH test were wireless. However, it doesn't go all the way into your stomach. In fact, that was part of the deal. They lowered it up and down just to find the right spot. It took a long time, and then maybe, can you quit swallowing for a second, and up and down, and so they just get it right. What they're trying to do is see if what do they call it, GERD, where after you eat a meal or when you go to bed at night, your stomach will, regurgitate and give you, heartburn or whatever, and somehow they're curious if it goes down the wrong pipe. Well, in my case, it didn't or doesn't, but just because with my situation, they don't want to leave any stones unturned, and so I can't say that I don't blame him for that, but I can say I'll blame them if they make me do it twice, and I got out of it. So I did get the word. They're happy with the test that I had had back in August, and all the other things that are miserable. You're under anesthesia, so who cares at that point? You know, you're out like a light, and you wake up like nothing ever happened. Now I am a little paranoid of the endoscopy. For some reason, that tells me that I'll wake up and I'll feel that. If that goes down your throat, down your bronchial tube, there's got to be some kind of after effect from that. Now, and I don't know how far they go, or how long it's in there, and what do they do. You know, these are questions for wondering minds, I guess. So anyway, that's it for me, and it's been a lot of fun talking to everybody. K7ITX, 7A3, back to net control.
K7ITX, let's go to Covington to Jim in 7QO.
In 7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, thank you for mentioning that. I'll take a quickie peek at Starbucks. I go there from time to time. And Nitro Cold Beer, I think I've seen that product that you're talking about. Anyway, thanks for that. I'll take a peek at that. My wife might get a good laugh out of something like that. Let's see. Dick, yeah, endoscopy. I don't know how far down they go on that. I have never had that done before, but my wife has to go through that every few years. They just, in her 60s, diagnosed her with celiac disease. There's actually a blood test for that, but they wanted to do an endoscopy and see if these little finger-like things down in, I don't know, her stomach somewhere, see the condition of them. And so she had to go through that, and it seems to me it doesn't really bother her. She may have somewhat of a sore throat for a day or two afterwards, but otherwise that has not been a real problem for her. So I don't know, that's probably not the same as running this wire in there. And then the thing with the wire, leaving it in there for a long period of time, that's got to be unpleasant. So I don't know. Like I said, I asked the doctor, do you really need to do that? All he could do is say no. Maybe there's an alternative thing that he could do. I don't know. Be worth asking. I would say that anyway. So that's my 2 cents about the endoscopy. I could probably ask my wife some more details, but it didn't seem to be a big problem with her. But having said that, they do put her to sleep, so they weren't asking her to swallow or anything. They knocked her out. So that's probably making a little bit of difference as well. I don't know. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, and it's time to call the plug on the net for this evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions for the net. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7ZYM, terminating the net at 9 o'clock. Good evening all.
Bye.